You just had a terrific interview with Senator Grassley of Iowa, and it was specifically on the subject of tax reform. He seems to remain committed to getting this done by the end of the year.
Yes, they do, and Republicans all echoing that sentiment as well. We heard that from someone like Senator Grassley in that interview, who is a bit more conservative than someone like Senator Susan Collins, who was also saying that as well. But look, I think it's going to come down to whether or not the House of Representatives and the proposal that they put forward, details of which are being finished up today, they'll be released tomorrow, and then in a markup next week, that could look a bit different than the Senate version of a tax package that they're going to pass on the end of the year. And we're starting to hear rumblings about how those differences might actually align. We focused a lot of our attention and reporting on the state and local deduction, the elimination of SALT, as it's called, in the House of Representatives. But here in the Senate, where I am currently, issues such as ratification on 401ks, as well as taxes for the wealthy, the super wealthy in particular, and the top tax bracket, how that breakdown is going to be is really going to potentially be a sticking point. And there's so much pressure. I can't stress that enough. The pressure that the Republicans are under to get something done by the end of the year, especially now that the Mueller probe has reached a new judicial level. So they're definitely trying. But again, this whether or not they're going to be able to reconcile that between the House and the Senate, that's really where the story is developing.
So, Kevin, help me with the numbers here a little bit, because we know that they've said they're willing to tolerate $1.5 trillion in deficits, right? Yeah. We just heard Senator Grassley say, well, but the CBO doesn't take into account dynamic scoring. That is to say, we'll grow the economy more. If you take that into account, does that get down off of the $1.5 trillion, or is he saying we might be willing to tolerate even more than $1.5 trillion because once you get the deficit, the dynamic scoring, you'll get it down to that?
You know, David, I thought it was really interesting that Senator Grassley brought up the issue of dynamic scoring. And for those outside of Washington, essentially, that is a very hot button political issue, essentially about a calculator of sorts. A lot of folks like it. Some folks don't like it. Republicans suggesting that economic growth should be factored into the payment of how they're going to pay for this plan. And, you know, quite frankly, that argument will not work with Democrats. And it really also might not work with some Republicans. But Senator Grassley suggesting that he agrees with the administration that it should be factored into it. That said, they are going to face some skeptics within the Republican Party who want to see other things brought forward as a pay-for, such as ratification, which the senator also said he would disagree with, or would seemingly disagree with. Fidelity, headquartered in Des Moines. So a lot of different competing interests here and moving parts.
Okay.